everyone, welcome back to Ed's Metalworks. We're on our gas tank cart for this gas tank. We got the shelves bent in the first part. This is the second part. We're going to do a little welding now. Weld up these corners on here. Got this one ready to go. And my fireball tool squares in there. Anyway, I'll set you up and we'll get these welded. Alrighty, here we go. We're going to use a little silicon bronze filler on this. I always like to start out at the edge there so it don't get so hot coming up to it. Burn through. Don't like doing that. Corner, go on to the next. Like I said, we'll start out here, and before it gets too hot, start out here by the edge. We'll just go straight down with this one. Alrighty, they ought to hold their shape now. You got one more to do over there. We'll get that one set up. Alright, got the other shelf ready to go. Hard for me to weld without any support on my hand, so we'll give her a try here. Alrighty, got her stuck together, looks like. Turn this around. Straighten this corner out a little bit here. We get a clamp on that, hold that in place. There we go. Alrighty. Of course, right when you get ready to hit it, the clamp falls off. There. This galvanizer should have good airflow. I got a couple small welds here, and then I'll ventilate the shop a little bit. But hard to ventilate and film because the ventilator makes too much noise. Anyway, all right, we got our two shelves welded up. Now we're going to try and come up with something to make the framework out of this thing for this whole cart. All right, we got our shelf corners all welded up. I made a piece of framework for the top, and we'll run our angle iron legs off of here. First, we got to make some axles and some plates to mount the axles, and some plates for our casters. These are 5/8 inch bore on these little tires. So anyway, I dug around in my junk down here. You can see I don't throw nothing away, it seems like. But anyway, come across two of these plates like this, and I thought, well, I don't need 4 bolts. So I cut one of them in half, and what we'll do is we'll counter bore the plate, put the axle, or make a shoulder on this shaft, and weld the axle there, and then I'll have 2 bolts in there, 1/4 inch probably, and give me a little bit of adjustment. Don't really need the adjustment if I figure it right. But anyway, used up one of them plates. They've been around here for years, but we got this is like hot roll 5/8 round that I sand it fits down in there good. We'll drill and tap one end of this for a bolt and a washer to hold it on there, and then the other end will of course go in our plate. So anyway, also found in my junk down there is this piece of metal. It has holes in it already, but we'll just ignore a couple of them holes, and we'll cut us a couple plates for our casters and drill and tap them. And we'll be ready to rock and roll on that. So I'll get this stuff cut up and ready to go. All right, like I said, we gotta keep the floor cleaned up. Let's grab us a tap now, 1/4 and the handle, and we'll go down here and get these tapped out. I use some of this cutting compound wax. Hey, there we go. Get you guys set up here, maybe. I suppose you've seen people tap stuff 1,000 times. We'll tap a couple holes, and then we'll finish it up off camera. Alrighty. Try and get it started straight. This is an old card tap handle here. I don't know where I ever come across that, but a card number 9 USA tap handle. Sorry for that sun shining through the window. I hope it ain't ruining my shot. Anyway, that's 2 of them. I'll do the other 6 off camera. No sense boring you guys with that, so get that done. Got our plates cut here. I got my hole marked for my axles. I'll wait and drill that until after I turn down the ends on there, so I don't have to hit a certain size. Anyway, let's go ahead and mark the and mark the holes on our caster plates and get them ready to drill. I just got out my transfer punch set and found one that fits that slot pretty good. Nothing has to be that accurate on here, but we'll try to hit the center of this slot a little bit. Alright, size is that 21/64. Anyway, I'll drill these to 1/4 I think. Or drill and tap these to 1/4. A pair of vice grips, clamp them together. We'll do them both at the same time. Alrighty, go down here to our trusty drill press and lower this a little bit. And get us a bit for 1/4 size. I think I've shown this before, but this is my rack by my drill bits, all tap sizes and all the drill sizes I got. So, and see, that was a 7/32 in there. So we'll go up here, 1/4. Here's our 1/4. I got my taps and my drill bit right there. So, all right. Give it a little lube. I don't know, I got this stuff, Energy Release. I got it at some trade show years ago and still got a bottle of it and still got it around here, so it works pretty good. got to keep my vacuum handy. Always got to clean up my swarf because I got a little mini schnauzer that runs around here and everything that don't match the surroundings goes in her mouth or sticks to her fur. So I always got to keep that cleaned up pretty good. Alrighty. Now I'll deburr these holes. It's a 3/8 inch countersink here. Caster plates all drilled and tapped. Got them sitting on the bench here so I know what we got for a total height there. And looks like 4 1/4. We'll call it 4 1/4 total height. You got to write that down so we know that. Got to add that to our legs to casters. 4 1/4. All right, this is kind of my weird drawing to make these. So anyway, now we got to go on to the big tires and see what we get going there. I think we'll bring the Rockwell out of retirement and do that a little bit of turning and stuff on there. We gotta get her oiled up first. All right. We'll get it lubed up here. Got some number 2 whey oil. I think it's Mobile Vector or something like that. Get all our little lube points here. Hasn't been run for a while, so Everything probably needs a little shot of oil. Oh, I lost my hose turned on me. I'm not the best one-handed oiler here for sure. Well, that one's kind of hard to get the point in there. And I don't know. There's one up underneath here that you got to turn the cap to open it up. I got to get a light so I can see what's going on there. Show you guys what's under there. I don't know if you can see that little oil port right there. You gotta turn it until the hole opens up. Get some oil shot in there. Close it back up. All right. All right. Get some more down in here. More cups. These you gotta, let me see, where am I at? On the 5.5 inch one. These you gotta move way to the outside to get the oil to go down in there. And back to all right, I think that's all for that. I just put a little 150 gear oil on the gears up here. I'll turn this light on. And the tailstock. Whoa. And then the ways a little bit here. You know, lead screw a little bit here. Alrighty, I think we're ready to roll. I'll get set up here and bring you back. Little guide in here. All right, we're going in the back gear. Keep that thing from spinning. All right. Oh my, that stuff sure taps hard. All right, well, you get the idea here. Bottom tap in there. Alrighty. Well, you get the idea. I'll do the other one and we'll come back. Alright, got you guys a bird's eye view there. Hope it works out. We're going to turn the ends of these down to where we're going to have a shoulder and where we can weld it on our plates. See what size we can hit here. down just a little bit over half. I'm going to take a little more out there. That'll work probably. Alright, now we'll flip them around and drill and tap a hole in the other end for, I don't know, maybe a 5/16 bolt. Pull it back down a little bit. Tap drill. Center that first. Generous center, and then we maybe won't have to deburr it after we drill our tap side. Get our tap started straight. Always something, ain't there? I should put it in the back here and then it won't run on me. All right. Got our plates tapped for their casters. Got our plates for our axles. They're still a little warm, so I'm not messing with them yet. But now we're going to make our legs. I think we'll make our legs out of this bed rail material that I got. We'll see how it cuts and if it's any good, but that ought to be plenty strong for what I'm using it for. So we'll go ahead and slice that up. I know these back legs, we got to have 30 1/4 to get our 34 1/2 tall. So got to get a couple, because these are 4 1/4 plus the 30 1/4 makes 34 1/2. All right, we'll get these cut up and get to it. All right, guys, we got our pieces all cut for our cart. I don't know if you can see this old bed rail material. We got the bottom shelf set in there. If you can see, we got wood supports to keep it all even. But we're gonna do a little welding now. I don't know about welding this with my MIG welder. Might have to TIG weld it with some silicon bronze, but anyway, that's the next step. Get this thing tacked together, and then we'll put the top on it when it's all said and done, and then give her some paint. So anyway, we're gonna get to welding here now, and we'll see what happens. All right, we'll get started with the MIG welder. And get the base all put together, and we'll look at, see what happens with this galvanized. I know it's not going to be pretty. Sassy? No. The shop dog made an appearance. She loves to stare at this welder, so we're gonna take a time out and go put her in the house. Alright, got rid of the dog. Got that. We'll try this welding this galvanized up here. See what happens. I don't know that it's gonna work worth a darn. I don't know, that wasn't too bad. A little hot for the sheet metal, but not look too bad. Well, you get the idea. I'll continue welding. I got to turn on my exhaust fan and get some ventilation going in here. Welding that galvanized. Didn't weld up too bad. I got every piece of metal on here I got is crappy of some kind. Galvanized, painted, rusty. But that's what I got. And we make use of it. Alrighty. All the welding's done. All the fab's done. We got our little gas cart made here. We got our height. Let me see what we needed, 34.5 to line up with my tailgate. Yeah, 34 and maybe 3/4. That's good enough. Anyway, this is my fuel cart. I'll back it into my shed this way. Oh, by the way, I had a handle left over from a toolbox somewhere. I just used some self-tappers to put that handle on there. And anyway, once we get it in the shed, we'll stand it up. And then we can dispense the fuel. It won't be moving around at all with this standing up. I don't know if I'll have any problems or not, but we can always modify in the future. But anyway, there's our gas can cart. I get it cleaned up, get some paint on it. I don't think I'll paint any of the galvanized, just the steel parts. And we'll finish this video off then. Well, here's the completed project. Threw a little paint on it. As long as you don't look too close to the paint job, it ain't too bad. I had some cold galvanizing paint that I put on the spots where I welded through the galvanizing. But other than that, it didn't come out too bad. And then when we go dispense gasoline, we'll have it standing up. Of course, through a little use, I don't know if I'll have to make any modifications or not, but we'll use it for a little bit and see what it does. This shelf down here will be for my, I got a small 2-gallon gas can and then 2 different mixed gas cans for different yard tools and stuff. But anyway, there's the finished product. Now all I gotta do is clean up the mess. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. That's two stands in a row, I guess, for videos, but we're gonna move on to something a little different next time, hopefully. Just work on what comes down the pipe mostly. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of it. We had a little lathe work, a little welding, a little bending, and a little bit of everything in this video. So have a good one. This is Ed's Metal Works signing out.